Hello, everyone. Hope you're doing well today. Today we are talking about resistance training program design, and this is chapter 15, part 1. All right. So in this chapter, you should be able to provide an understanding of the application of specificity, overload, variation, progression, and sequencing, as well as be able to identify how to select exercises, determining training frequency, and arrange exercises in a specific sequence. You should be able to describe how to estimate initial loads for clients and how to assign training loads, volumes, and rest periods based on their needs and appropriate sequential training methods. And describe the variations between training sessions, days, and weeks, and training loads needed to be increased or varied. The principle of specificity is a fundamental concept in exercise science and training. It states that training adaptations and improvements in performance are specific to the type of training or exercise stimulus applied. In other words, the body will adapt specifically to the demands placed upon it. The principle of specificity can be applied to various aspects of training, including exercise selection. The exercises and activities chosen should closely mimic the movements and demands of the desired performance or goal. For example, if the goal is to improve running speed, incorporating running specific drills and exercises would be more effective than solely focusing on unrelated activities. The energy system development. Different physical activities rely on specific energy systems to provide the necessary energy. Training should target the appropriate energy systems to improve performance in a particular sport or activity. For instance, endurance training for a marathon runner would focus more on aerobic training rather than anaerobic strength training. Muscle groups and movement patterns. Specific muscles and movement patterns should be targeted in training to enhance performance. If an athlete needs to improve power in the legs for jumping, exercises like squats and plyometric movements would be more effective than exercises that primarily target the upper body. And skill development. Skills required for a specific sport or activity should be practiced and trained directly. For example, a basketball player aiming to improve shooting accuracy would dedicate training time to shooting drills and techniques rather than unrelated activities. The intensity and load of training should be specific to the desired adaptation. For example, to increase strength, higher loads with lower repetitions would be more effective, while muscular endurance would be targeted through lower loads with higher repetitions. By applying the principle of specificity in training, athletes and individuals can maximize their performance gains and improve their abilities in the specific areas they desire. It helps to tailor training programs to the specific needs and goals of the individual, leading to more efficient and effective progress. Overload is one of the general training principles that are important for achieving fitness goals. The overload principle states that a greater than normal stress or load on the body is required for training adaptation to take place. The body will adapt to this stimulus, and once it has adapted, a higher stimulus is required to continue the change. In order for a muscle to increase strength, it must be gradually stressed by working against a load greater than it is used to. Overload can be achieved by adding new resistance or time or intensity to your efforts, increasing the number of sets, or increasing weight used in strength training. Overload should always be progressive and gradual to avoid overreaching or overtraining, which can cause injury, lead to muscle soreness, and decrease physical performance. Overloading can be achieved through an increase in frequency, intensity, time of exercise, or a combination of these. And it's one of the 3 core principles of training, along with progression and specificity. The overload principle states that the body must be subjected to a greater than normal stress or load for training adaptation to take place. In conclusion, overload is an important training principle that involves subjecting the body to a greater than normal stress or load to achieve training adaptation. Overloading should always be progressive and gradual to avoid overtraining, and can be achieved through an increase in frequency, intensity, time of exercise, or a combination of these. Variation is one of the general training principles that are important for achieving fitness goals. It is inherent in training due to relatively rapid progress in the initial phases of training. As progress slows, subtle variations may be made in other ways for progress to continue. Variation means varying the training activities to yield gains in performance. Training programs should include a variation in intensity, duration, and volume of practice. The premise behind variation is that little progressive changes in your regime will give you better gains in performance. The principle maintains that a constant adaptation in changes in intensity, volume, and time of the workout will prevent the stagnation of performance gains or increase performance gains faster than a repetition of the same amount of the same workout. It also helps to prevent boredom, burnout, and injury. By varying the nature of the session, progress can continue to be made, but the progress that is made is less relevant to the primary goal. Therefore, the specificity of any variation that is made in the training must be considered. Variation is an important training concept that involves varying the training of activities to yield gains and performance. Variation is inherent in training due to relatively rapid progress in the initial phases of training, and it helps to prevent boredom, burnout, and injury. It is one of the principles of training along with overload, progression, specificity, and reversibility. Progression and progressive overload are essential principles in exercise and training that involve systematically increasing the demands placed on the body over time to drive adaptations and improvements in performance. Progression refers to the gradual and structural advancement in the difficulty, intensity, duration, or complexity of your training program over time. The purpose of progression is to continually challenge your client's body and provide a stimulus that exceeds its current capacity, promoting ongoing improvements. Progression can be applied to various aspects of training, including resistance training, cardiovascular exercise, flexibility training, and skill development. Progressive overload is a specific aspect of progression that focuses on systematically increasing the load or demands placed on the body during training sessions. The overload principle states that for the body to continually adapt and improve, it must be subjected to a stimulus that is greater than what it is accustomed to. This can be achieved by gradually increasing intensity, volume, frequency, duration, or a combination of these factors. Key principles of progressive overload are gradual increases. So progressively overloading your workouts by making small incremental increases in the training variables. This allows your body to adapt and gradually build strength, endurance, or skill. And specificity, you want to ensure that the overload is specific to the goals you want to achieve. For example, if your goal is to increase strength, progressively increasing the resistance or load lifted during resistance training exercises. Individualization, you want to tailor the progression and overload to your individual needs, abilities, and training level of your client. What may be challenging for one person may not be the same for another, so it's important to consider your client's current fitness level and capabilities. And recovery and adaptation, you always want to allow adequate time for recovery and adaptation between training sessions. Progressive overload places additional stress on the body, and sufficient rest and recovery periods are crucial for adaptation and improvements to occur. Periodization. You want to incorporate periodization into your training plan, which involves dividing your training plan into distinct phases or cycles. Each phase has a specific focus and progression, allowing for long-term improvement and preventing plateaus. An example of progressive overload, you can increase resistance by gradually adding more weight to your strength training exercises, such as increasing the load on a barbell squat or dumbbell bicep curl, adding repetitions or sets, increasing the number of repetitions performed in a set, or adding additional sets to your workout to increase the overall volume. Gradually increasing the intensity of cardiovascular exercises, such as running at a faster pace, increasing the incline on a treadmill, or incorporating high-intensity interval training into your routine. And advancing the difficulty or complexity of exercises by adding variations, such as in performing single leg squats instead of regular leg squats, or progressing from assisted pull-ups to unassisted pull-ups. Designing a resistance training program involves several steps and considerations. The first step in designing a resistance training program is to perform a needs analysis with your initial consultation and fitness evaluation. This involves evaluating the characteristics of the sport or activity and assessing your client's fitness profile. The second step is to determine the training frequency, or how often your client will perform resistance training exercises. This will depend on their goals, their schedule, and recovery ability. The third step is to select exercises that are specific to your client's goals and needs. This involves choosing exercises that target the muscle groups and movement patterns that are most important for the activity. Fourth step is to determine the exercise order, or the sequence in which exercises will be performed. This can affect the amount of weight that can be lifted and the number of repetitions that can be performed. And the fifth step is to determine the training load and repetitions. This involves selecting the appropriate weight and number of repetitions for each exercise based on the client's goals and needs. The sixth step is to determine their training volume, or the total amount of work performed in each session. This will depend on their goals, schedule, and again, their recovery ability. The seventh step is to determine the rest periods between sets and exercises. This will depend on, again, their goals, their intensity, and their recoverability. The eighth step is determining their training variation, and much of that's going to depend upon their preference and interests. And the ninth step is determining the sequencing the training plan. And so the trainer will determine progression. I'll explain the sequence in the training plan in just a bit. The initial consultation and fitness evaluation is an important process that personal trainers use to gather information about their client's health history, fitness experience, and goals. The initial consultation is the foundation for a personal trainer's success with a client. It involves gathering information on the client's background and prior fitness experience, as well as their health history and goals. The consultation should be used to establish a rapport with the client, analyze their situation, and develop a solution. This involves asking the right questions to learn about their past experiences, current starting place, and goals and expectations for the future. The initial consultation can be combined with the first workout or done separately. Some trainers prefer to do it separately to allow time to digest the information and develop a plan. The initial consultation and fitness evaluation are important for designing an individualized fitness program that is tailored to the client's needs and goals. Without a thorough consultation, the program can be rendered ineffective. In conclusion, the initial consultation and fitness evaluation is an important process that personal trainers use to gather information about their client's health history, fitness experience, and goals. The initial consultation should be used to establish a rapport with your client and analyze their situation and develop a solution. The fitness evaluation may include a brief warm-up and a light workout to assess their current fitness level. Information gathered during that consultation and fitness evaluation is important for designing an individualized fitness program that's tailored to their needs and goals. Some 5 basic questions you want to ask are: do you currently participate in a resistance training program? And if so, how long have you been following a regular 1 or more times per week resistance training program? How many times per week do you resistance train? How intense or difficult are your resistance training workouts? And what type of resistance training exercises do you perform? And how many of them can you perform with proper technique? There are different methods for classifying resistance training, but one proposed strategy is the classification of resistance training status model, which proposes 3 classification levels: beginner, intermediate, and advanced, which are determined by the mean score of the individual's performance in different exercises. Another method of classification is comparing the force generated by a muscle or muscle group relative to an external force. Overall, the classification and determination of resistance training status is an important step in designing an effective resistance training program. By understanding the individual's fitness level and goals, trainers can develop a program that is tailored to their specific needs and abilities. Fitness evaluation is an important process that personal trainers use to gather information about their clients' health history, fitness experience, and goals. Fitness assessments are essential for setting fitness goals and tracking progress, making changes to programs, and training safely. An initial assessment helps personal trainers get to know their clients and set the foundation for successful training. Ongoing assessments of clients' health measurements, fitness level, and strength are also important to ensure progress. Fitness tests can help evaluate a client's level of fitness and provide insight into their overall health, strength level, and preferences. Fitness assessments can help personal trainers develop individualized fitness programs that are tailored to the client's needs and goals. Fitness evaluations also help personal trainers set goals and provide motivation for their clients. They can help identify potential areas of injury and reasonable starting points for recommended intensities and volumes of exercise based on the goals and fitness outcomes. So it is an important process that personal trainers use to gather information about their clients' health history, fitness experience, and goals. These fitness assessments are essential for setting fitness goals, tracking progress, making changes to programs, and training safely. That initial consultation is that foundation for a personal trainer's success with a client. And fitness evaluations can help personal trainers develop individualized fitness programs that are tailored to the client's needs and goals. The primary resistance training goals can vary depending on the sport or activity and the individual's goals, but the primary resistance training goals can be used for improving strength, muscular endurance, power, and hypertrophy. As we just said, the 4 primary resistance training goals are muscular endurance, hypertrophy, muscular strength, and power. Muscular endurance is the ability of a muscle or group of muscles to sustain repeated contractions against a resistance for an extended period of time. Hypertrophy, on the other hand, is the increase in muscle size or tone that results from resistance training. Increasing muscle size prepares the muscles to handle heavier workloads. Muscle strength is the maximal level of force a muscle or group of muscles can generate regardless of time. It's really based upon how much weight you can lift. So resistance training with heavy loads and longer rest periods can increase muscular strength. And muscular power is the ability to generate force quickly. Resistance training with explosive movements can help develop muscular power. In conclusion, the 4 primary resistance training goals are muscular endurance, hypertrophy, muscular strength, and power. Muscular endurance is that ability to sustain repeated contractions against a resistance for an extended period of time. Hypertrophy is an increase in muscle size or tone, where muscle strength is the maximal level of force a muscle or group of muscles can generate. And muscular power is the ability to generate force quickly. Resistance training programs can be designed to target one or more of these goals depending on the individual's needs and goals. Determining the training frequency for resistance training involves considering several factors. The optimal training frequency is influenced by the types of exercises used, the number of muscle groups trained per session, the structure of the program, and that includes volume and intensity, and the client's training status and overall fitness level. Other considerations are the client's work schedule and social schedule and family obligations. All of those will strongly influence how frequently your client can train. You want to plan for 1 to 2 days of complete rest or recovery each week. Active recovery can involve low intensity activities like gentle stretching, yoga, or light recreational activities that promote circulation and relaxation. You also want to allow at least 1 day between working the same muscle or muscle groups and no more than 3 days in between. The determination of training frequency can also be influenced by an individual's training status, which refers to their level of fitness. training experience, and overall conditioning. If your client is new to exercise or have limited training experience, it's generally recommended to start with 2 to 3 days of exercise per week, allowing for at least 1 day of rest between sessions. This allows their body to adapt to the new stress of exercise while minimizing the risk of excessive soreness or injury. Gradually increase the frequency as their fitness level improves and they become more comfortable with exercise. Once they've built a foundation of fitness and exercise experience, you can start to increase their training frequency to 3 to 5 days per week. This can include a mix of resistance training, cardiovascular exercise, and flexibility work, being mindful of allowing adequate rest days to promote recovery and prevent overtraining. Advanced individuals who have a high level of fitness and training experience can train more frequently, typically 3 to 6 days per week. This may involve split routines targeting different muscle groups on different days, incorporating high intensity or volume, and incorporating specialized training techniques. However, it's still important to allow for periodic rest and recovery days to prevent overtraining and optimize performance. Advanced resistance training clients may perform multiple sessions in 1 day. Exercise selection is a crucial aspect of designing a well-rounded and effective training program. The choice of exercises should align with your client's goals, training level, equipment availability, and individual factors such as injury history and preferences. You want to select exercises that directly contribute to their specific fitness goals. For example, if their goal is to improve strength, you want to prioritize compound exercises that involve multiple muscle groups, such as squats, deadlifts, bench press, and overhead press. If their goal is to enhance muscular endurance, focus on exercises with lighter weights and higher repetitions. You also want to make sure that you have muscle balance. So include exercises that target all major muscle groups to ensure balanced development and reduce the risk of muscle imbalances. This typically involves incorporating exercises for the chest, back, shoulders, arms, legs, and core. You want to balance pushing movements of push-ups and chest press with pulling movements like rows and pull-ups to maintain muscular balance and posture. You also want to incorporate a variety of exercises to engage muscles from different angles and stimulate adaptation. This can help prevent boredom, promote overall strength and stability, and avoid overuse injuries. For example, instead of always performing barbell squats, you can incorporate variations like goblet squats, lunges, or step-ups. And make sure that you're considering their current fitness level and experience when selecting exercises. Beginners should focus on mastering fundamental movements with proper form before progressing to more complex exercises. Intermediate and advanced individuals can introduce advanced variations such as plyometric exercises, Olympic lifts, or unilateral movements to continue challenging their bodies and promoting progress. You may have to adapt your exercise selection based on the equipment you have access to. If you have access to a fully equipped gym, you can incorporate a wide range of exercises using free weight machines, free weights, machines, cables, and other equipment. If you have limited equipment or prefer home workouts, body weight exercises and exercises with resistance bands can be effective alternatives. Consider any past injuries or specific limitations you may have when selecting exercises. Avoid exercises that exacerbate existing injuries or cause discomfort. Modify exercises as needed to accommodate any mobility or range of motion limitations. And incorporate exercises that your client enjoys and finds motivating. This helps maintain consistency and adherence to your training program. Experiment with different exercises and training modalities to find what works best for your client and keep them engaged. Remember to prioritize proper form and technique during exercise execution to maximize effectiveness and minimize risk of injury. In selecting exercise, you want to consider the types of resistance training exercises. One of those are your core exercises. These involve 2 or more primary joints, like they're multi-joints, and engage large muscles while activating synergistic muscles. One particular exercise might be the bench press. in which you're incorporating chest and other synergistic muscles in as well. So the idea is to engage those large muscle groups while also activating the synergistic muscles. These exercises target the muscles of the core and can be performed with or without equipment. Resistance band can also be used to add some resistance to these exercises. Structural exercises are an important component of a resistance training program. They are core exercises that load the spine directly or indirectly. And so they're loading the axial skeleton. And they're important and involving and keeping a neutral spine. Now, structural exercises focus on multiple movements to burn calories and improve overall fitness. Some examples of that would be the power clean, the squat, the shoulder press. Explosive or power exercises are an important component of a resistance training program as well. Explosive exercises use large muscle movements and are designed to increase speed, power, and strength. Power or explosive exercises focus on developing speed and strength and explosiveness by engaging those fast twitch muscle fibers. These exercises are often used in sports performance training and can benefit athletes, as well as individuals looking to improve overall power output and athletic performance. Some exercises would be the push press, snatch, or clean pull, the high pull, or the push jerk. Assistance exercises are supplemental exercises that target specific muscle groups or movement patterns to support and enhance the performance of main or compound exercises. These exercises help address muscle imbalances, strengthen weak areas, improve stability, and promote overall muscular development. You want to consider incorporating exercises that address weak points, promote muscle balance, and complement your main lifts. So guidelines for choosing exercises include their clients' needs and preference, and also looking at those who are untrained. You want to make sure that you're building a good training base with one exercise per muscle group. For someone who is trained, you can increase the number of exercises per muscle group, but you do want to make sure that you are addressing any injury or special needs as well. The order of exercises in your workout routine can impact performance, muscle activation, and overall training outcomes. So here are some important factors to consider. The order of your exercises should align with your client's training goals. If their primary training goal is strength development, it's generally recommended to prioritize compound multi-joint exercises at the beginning of the workout when they have the most energy and focus. If the goal is muscle hypertrophy or muscle growth, you may want to start with exercises that target large muscle groups. The exercise complexity. Place exercises that require more skill, technique, or balance earlier in the workout when their energy levels are high and focus is sharp. This allows for them to perform these exercises with proper form and reduce the risk of injury. Muscle groups. You want to consider the muscle groups you are targeting with each exercise. It's common to structure your workout to alternate between upper and lower body exercises or push and pull movements. This approach allows you to give the worked muscles adequate rest while still engaging other muscle groups. If you have specific weaker muscles or muscle imbalances, you may choose to perform exercises that target those muscles early in the workout. This is known as pre-fatiguing or muscle activation. By targeting weaker muscles first, you ensure that you receive the necessary attention and engagement before moving on to larger compound exercises. If you're incorporating supersets, which is performing 2 exercises back to back with minimal rest, or circuit training into the workout routine, exercise order becomes important for efficiency and minimizing rest time. In this case, you would typically alternate between exercises that work different muscle groups or movement patterns to allow one muscle group to rest while the other is working. And consider your client's preferences and what feels most comfortable to them. Some individuals prefer starting with a specific exercise to get in the zone, while others may prefer a different order. As long as the exercise order aligns with their goals and targets the appropriate muscle groups, personal preferences can play a role. It's important to note that exercise order can be flexible and can vary depending on individual needs, preferences, and specific training protocols. Experimentation and adjusting the exercise order over time can help you find the most effective and enjoyable sequence for your workouts. Typically, you want to start out with power exercises first, again, early in the workout routine. It's complex. Then working on your core and your smaller assistance muscles. Another way of looking at it is do your multi-joint exercises first before the single joint exercises. So squats before leg curls. And work on large muscle groups before your small muscle groups. Another way of doing it would be alternate your push and pull exercises or upper and lower body. There are several methods of ordering exercises in a workout routine, and the choice of method depends on various factors. The traditional method starts with compound exercises that involve multiple muscle groups such as squats, deadlifts, or bench press. Follow with exercises that target specific muscle groups or movement patterns such as isolation exercises like bicep curls or leg extensions, and finish with core exercises or cardiovascular activities. The superset method performs 2 exercises back to back without resting in between. Pair exercises that target opposing muscle groups such as chest and back or upper body and lower body. This method helps save time and increases training density. Circuit training method performs a series of exercises consecutively, moving from one exercise to the next with minimal rest. Choosing exercises that target different muscle groups to allow for active recovery while other muscles are working. And circuit training provides cardiovascular benefits along with strength training. The pre-fatigue method starts with an isolation exercise that targets a specific muscle group. Follow with a compound exercise that involves multiple muscle groups, including the pre-fatigue muscle. This method ensures that the target muscle group is fully engaged and challenged during the compound exercise. And a priority method. So prioritize exercises based on specific training goals or weak areas. Start with exercises that focus on weak or underdeveloped muscle groups and follow with exercises for stronger or larger muscle groups. This method allows for special attention to weak areas and promotes balance and symmetry in muscle development. And the pyramid method. Begin with lighter weights and higher reps. Gradually increase the weight and decrease the repetitions with each set. This method allows for progressive overload and targets different muscle fibers. Remember, there's no one size fits all. Choice of exercise order really depends upon the individual needs, their goals, and preferences. It's also beneficial to periodically change the exercise order and to introduce variety and challenge in different ways. And that is all that I have for today. We will be going into part 2 where we're talking more about the training loads and repetitions. I look forward to talking with you then. Have a great day.